It's been a great run, but I think the president knows, and he and I have talked about the constrictions of the Constitution, as much as so many of the American people lament that. The Trump 2028 cap is one of the most popular that's ever been produced, and he has a good time with that, trolling the Democrats whose hair is on fire about the very prospect. But I do believe that we've got 3 extraordinary years ahead of us, and the 2 years of the Trump administration are going to be an incredible thing. And I don't see a way to amend the Constitution because it takes about 10 years to do that, as you all know, to allow all the states to ratify what 2/3 of the House and 3/4 of the states would approve. So I don't see the path for that.
So that is the Speaker of the House implying that Trump will not run for a 3rd term. Now, give him some minor credit for saying that, although take away all of that credit, because if Trump did run for a 3rd term, he would instantly line up. He would bow down. So just acknowledge that. Also, the lying along the way that like so many people lament that he can't run for a 3rd term. Dude's at like 41% approval rating. Who are you playing? And you despise him just as much as most of the country does, Mike Johnson. Who are you playing at that point? Also, the Democrats their hair is on fire over the president implying that he'll once again refuse to give up power. Yeah, they're such snowflakes with their clinging to the Constitution in that way. So all that's garbage, he's trash. But I'm not the only one that thinks that. There are many on the right that are angry at Mike Johnson for acknowledging the clear text of the Constitution. And so this takes us to Steve Bannon.
Only way you can win is with Trump. This is what the whole discussion with Barris is. The Republican Party and Johnson and all these Johnsons said today, well, you can't run for president again. Polly Pockets, you got no say-so in this, okay? Just shut up and sit off in the corner. You're running the Duma right now. Just go over and run the Duma. I'm not interested in what you have to say on any topic, much less this topic, okay?
Okay, so setting aside, we could totally dive into the interesting Russian stuff, the metaphors he's making there, but we don't have time for that. So instead it's, how dare you, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, how dare you acknowledge the Constitution? But the most interesting thing there is the only way the Republicans can win is with Trump. He has no faith in any of the others. So it's not gonna be JD Vance. So JD Vance, have fun with that. Ron DeSantis, you would lose. Tucker Carlson would lose. Don Jr. would lose. Nikki Haley, Ted Cruz, they would all lose. You have to have Trump, which I think it's kind of a telling acknowledgement of how wildly unpopular the Republican Party actually is, or even that MAGA is. That MAGA, absent Trump, according to Steve Bannon, cannot win a presidential election. Thank you, Steve Bannon, for agreeing with us that this agenda is so wildly unpopular. But so he's saying ignores Mike Johnson, run no matter what. There are some in Republican media that are fighting back against that. So this has turned into a real civil war. Here is Ben Shapiro replying to the Steve Bannon thing.
Democrats are having to come up with new strategies for freaking out their base. So they are trotting out the idea that Donald Trump is going to run for a 3rd term. Now, let me be clear. The only person on the right who is talking about this is Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon is a grifter. Steve Bannon has always been a grifter. It is what he does. Steve Bannon is an attention. He is the entire Amsterdam red light district of attention. Steve Bannon. He will say anything in order to maintain street cred with President Trump and in order to maintain himself at the center of American politics, despite the fact that he was kicked out the door by the president last term and named Sloppy Steve as a result. And so Steve Bannon out there retailing the bizarre and stupid idea that Donald Trump is going to run for a 3rd term, presumably so that Bannon can, I don't know, have an iron in the fire in 2028 himself, perhaps. It's really dumb.
Now, look, I love that he's pushing back against Steve Bannon, but of course, like Mike Johnson, he has to fill every bit of the rest of that message with as many lies as possible. So yeah, it's just the Democrats. They're just fighting to come up with some way to freak out their base. It's all them. They're the only ones that are talking about Trump running again, except for, this with the hats and the merch and Trump talking about it literally constantly. I mean, Trump, if we could bring up the graphic anytime. Trump on the plane said he would come up with ways to do it. You have Lindsey Graham, you have Tommy Tuberville, you have many in right-wing media constantly talking. They talk about it utterly constantly. And also Ben Shapiro, he already tried to stay in the House after he was rejected by the American people. And what do you have to say about that? But like, it doesn't even matter. I don't even care about the history. I will put him in the exact same camp as Mike Johnson. Ben Shapiro is posturing here with a different form of grift as Steve Bannon, that he's the reasonable one. Well, dude, you support Donald Trump, so you ain't as reasonable as you think. And much more importantly, going forward, like Mike Johnson, Ben Shapiro will say that it is an insane left-wing Trump derangement syndrome thing to imply that Trump will run for office again. He'll never run for office again. The second he announces that third term, Ben Shapiro is on board. Let's just be clear. Ben Shapiro is not going to turn his show into an anti-Trump thing. He's not going to join Antifa. Okay, this is him posturing as reasonable, but he will be ready to bend the knee, to kiss the ring, use whatever metaphor you want the second it actually happens. And I hope that it doesn't, but that's the truth of Ben Shapiro. And also, so you can acknowledge that Steve Bannon is a grifter just saying anything for attention. You apparently hate that. You consider that being a whore or whatever. How do you like your president? How do you like the entire rest of right-wing media? How do you like you, by the way? Can you let one movie go by that's not targeted exactly at you without you performatively freaking out about it for 2 hours on YouTube for clicks? I think Ben Shapiro knows a little something about attention whoring, Sharon. What do you think?
Yes, and bowing down to dear leader. You're absolutely right. I mean, part of that was funny, the Amsterdam part. The rest of it was exactly as you called it. Says one grifter about another, okay? And let me get to the grifter head of the line in front of dear leader. And oh yeah, Epstein files now. And you know what, guys? It's not that important. It's really not that important, guys. Just relax, please. This is my own opinion, okay? These people are all over the place. And because that's where dear leader leads them. Left, right, up, down, middle of the road. We'll see. A lot of people are saying that. So, I mean, all of this is nonsense. You're right. I think he will try to stay. And those who were even a little bit constitutionally inclined will then say, it allows it. It allows it. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, 100%. Again, at that point, we could play the video or whatever, but it doesn't matter. None of them care about hypocrisy. None of them care about consistency because they know the base they are desperately trying to cling to doesn't care about it either. Ben Shapiro's base wants Trump for a third term. They're all so goddamn pathetic. Oh, they love to posture that they're going to be strong and they stand for things. Everybody remembers when they announced that the Epstein files was just being closed. We're done with it. Remember? Turning Point USA event, Charlie Kirk like, we're gonna get to the bottom of this. We're gonna get the documents. Got a phone call from Trump day later. We're moving on. We're not gonna talk about this anymore. I trust the president. That's who all of these people are. They take their marching orders and they get to marching.